Thanks for joining us on the news at 10, reaching you live from Abuja. Now, the headlines.
No development without peace, President Buhari reiterates as Nigeria marks Africa Day. Nigeria Center for Disease Control announces 229 new cases, bringing number of confirmed coronavirus in the country to 1,068. INEC issues 10-point policy guidelines, adopts other health protocols for the conduct of elections amid COVID-19. Plus, Day 2 of Eid al-Fitr public holidays. Correspondent examines the dramatic change in lifestyle of a family as coronavirus ravages. As at 11:34 p.m. on Monday, May the 25th, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, announced 229 new cases of COVID-19 in the country, bringing the number of confirmed cases to 8,068. Of the 229 new cases, 90 are in Lagos, 27 in Katsina, 26 in Imo State, 23 in Kano. FCT recorded 14, with Plateau having 12. Ogun has 9 new cases, 7 in Delta, while Borno and Rivers have 5 cases each. Oyo has 4. Others are Gombe with 3 cases, 2 in Osun, and 1 each in Anambra and Bayelsa states. Lagos still tops the COVID-19 cases chart, while 3,595 cases in total, followed by Kano with 919 cases, and the FCT with 519 cases. 2,311 recovered patients have been discharged, while 233 deaths have been recorded. Let's now talk diplomacy and development in Africa, as President Muhammadu Buhari has called for peace on the continent as a prerequisite for sustainable development. In a statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, the message to African leaders to mark the African Day 2020, commemorated by the African Union Commission in collaboration with the World Health Organization, has given the world a new hope by choosing the theme Silencing the Guns in the context of COVID-19 for this year's African Day. President Buhari stressed the need for African leaders to ensure that every effort is made to see to the success of silencing the guns on the continent, emphasizing the need to sensitize Africans about the inseparable connection between peace and development. President Buhari also urged regional economic groups, civil society organizations, and the private sector in Africa to take full ownership of the theme of this year's celebration to strengthen collaborative efforts among member countries of the African Union. Africa Day is observed annually on 25th May to commemorate the founding of the Organization of African Unity, OAU, the precursor of the African Union, which was created on 25th May 1963 in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. And members of the Federal Executive Council congratulate President Buhari, the Vice President, and all Nigerians on the occasion of the Eid al-Fitr celebrations at the end of the holy month of Ramadan. A statement by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, members of the Federal Executive Council, while praying Almighty God to accept the supplications during the fast at a time the world is facing the challenges posed by coronavirus, urged Nigerians to observe COVID-19 guidelines. Even after the fast, the council members encouraged Nigerians not to cease in their prayers as economies of the world continue to face the disruptions from the coronavirus. And Eid al-Fitr marks the end of the fasting in the year 2020. It is equivalent to the Islamic calendar 1441, after the hijrah of Prophet Muhammad, may the peace of Allah be unto him. In the spirit of the season, Salihu Abdullah's visit to a Muslim home further showcases this year's celebration as unique amidst the pandemic coronavirus, which was dramatically altered lifestyles globally.
February 27 is a day etched in Nigeria's history for obvious reasons. One, that forced the hand of the Nigerian government to impose a total lockdown, to its easing, and now to the ban on interstate movement across the country, all as a result of COVID-19. Nigerians are faced with this reality that is seemingly unpredictable, even as Muslim Ummah mark Eid al-Fitr. In search of a Muslim home, I visited Dawaki, one of the satellite communities in the Federal Capital Territory. As at the time of my visit, the street was still asleep. After the routine hygiene protocol, I was welcomed to this humble family of 5. The ambience of a visitor to the home obviously woke up Zahir and Zinat as they proceeded to join their uncle in performing their morning obligatory duty. From there, it is breakfast. For the family of Akim Olakpade, living a private life has become dramatic.
It's now indoor from kitchen, so it hasn't been, it has really been a headache, and I think I need to give it to their teachers. They're really trying. You just have to start cooking like up to 7 times, 6 times, because after cooking this, so mommy, I want this, mommy, not this, mommy, I want that.
Children, playground, adults play, just kind of fun game. We really miss that game. Usually be routine. And after then, you can resort back to different parks in Abuja and have outing experience like. So everything is miss out.
Fortunately, after several hours, the NTA crew were the only guests entertained in this home and the compound housing 10 flats. To this family and others, there is a lot to talk about. The before, during, and even after the coronavirus.
It has been the fasting that you fasted, and one agenda, common agenda for everybody is to pray for the world, to pray for the country, for God to have intervention and heal the world, because everybody is facing one particular pandemic that is unknown, is unseen.
Even our neighbors, though, they sometimes don't even want to come close to us or even make their children come to our own house. We the same thing, It has not been easy, but we have to cope because of the present situation at hand.
I pray Allah make this pandemic come to an end and sooner as it could.
The anthem has become, "Oh God, save us." And so I joined to make a wish that God Almighty should bring to an end the coronavirus pandemic so that the family of Akim Olakpade and indeed Nigerians will resume their normal lives. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
And these are not good time for children, celebrating at home with even their books. I can't imagine.
I believe it's even bringing families closer. It makes you, your family is with you, the kids, you can even teach them about Almighty God more. I think it's bringing families closer. And that's my own opinion.
But they need time to go and socialize with others. These times are very rare. Salah is not all the times, it's only once in a year. Okay. And as Eid al-Fitr public holidays are normally characterized by outdoor activities with families, fun time in parks, as well as picnicking with friends. But the coronavirus has put a halt to all these extracurricular activities this Salah holiday.
Ali Okpanachi Aruwa, who went out roaming the streets, reports that the eerie silence was clear without the usual hustle and bustle.
This will be an Eid to be remembered for a long time to come, as the coronavirus pandemic has tempered with the usual celebration of one of the most important celebrations in the Muslim calendar after the Ramadan fast. Reminiscing about the 2019 Eid al-Fitr celebration brings to mind the fun and amusement at various parks and public places in Abuja. But today, these parks are empty, as children look with longing through their locked gates and wished they could go in and play as usual.
Today, Salah, the place is so boring and everywhere is locked.
Chairman, National Interest Forum, Shitu Kebri Muhammad, says the day after Salah is when the family usually go out to visit friends and family members. But he said making the most out of the situation is the best way to look ahead, which is why his family will be marking the day with a picnic within the confines of the family garden.
This established norm is for us to be careful to fight the COVID-19. We can't fight it physically because it's a war that has met us, and we must join hands as country, as people, as family to fight the menace.
The pandemic has not only impacted negatively on the social life of citizens, but also on economic activities, as many Muslim traders are already back to the business stance in the marketplace.
I do Salah, but the following days I come market. We thank God they are alive.
As many recall with mixed feelings, the Salah celebration of last year and comparing it with that of this year, they appeal to the government to intensify efforts in eradicating the pandemic from Nigeria. In Abuja, Alika Wanachi, Aroa, NTA News.
And still on the mode of Salah, let's now hear from our defense correspondent Ismail Musa what he has on this Eid al-Fitr with a difference.
There is a philosophy that says what is constant in life is change. So when the 2020 Eid al-Fitr festive period came with the coronavirus social distance protocol, the public had no choice than to embrace, adapt to stem the spread of the disease.
By virtue of this COVID-19, the way we do things, the way we interact, the way we behave is changing.
We just manage and follow the instruction that NCDC gave us, that we should stay at home, we should stay safe. All of us are at home with our children.
Last year, everybody happy, celebrate, moving around, everywhere, eating. But this time around, to even give neighbor food is a problem.
The street is deserted. Most parks and gardens closed for business. But just like the street light that must continue to work, the Salah festive period must continue.
We cook, we eat, we even chat with my children at home.
We thank God we are alive. Okay. No sickness, no problem, but we are alive. But this staying at home has disturbed our celebration a bit.
And now, we wouldn't have been sitting down at all. We would have been at the parks or gardens with loved ones and family.
The resounding message for the public is strict adherence to NCDC guidelines of social distancing, regular hand washing, use of hand sanitizers, and face masks. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
And some Muslim and Christian leaders in Plateau State say this year's Ramadan fast came with lessons of sincerity, honesty, selflessness, and sacrifice to Almighty God and humanity. This was while felicitating with the Muslims on the occasion of Eid al-Fitr celebration. Abdul Wahab Babankanti has that report.
In view of the COVID-19 pandemic, they charged Muslims to observe all laid-down safety protocols and guidelines issued by the authorities with a view to contain the spread of the disease in the country. For that, they urge Muslims, as they celebrate Eid al-Fitr, to continue to be law-abiding, have sober reflection, and exhibit the lessons learned during the period of Ramadan fast.
We pray that may the Almighty God accept our prayers and get us out from this pandemic that is ravaging the whole world.
The only way out of this thing is for everybody, and whoever you are. We have got to abide by the directives of what the authorities have asked us to do.
I would want to congratulate the Muslim Ummah for witnessing yet another Salah, and then appeal to them to please abide by the rules given by NCDC.
They salute the commitment of all leaders in enlightening their followers on various issues during the months, urging them to maintain the tempo even beyond the period of Ramadan.
Our priority as human beings today is love. Show love to one another. And if we have love, we can coexist with other people who have different views from ours.
They equally call for ceaseless and fervent prayers for the nation against the spread of COVID-19. In Jos, Abdul Wahab Babankanti, NTA News.
You're still watching the news at 10 on NTA News 24, reaching you live from Abuja. Still ahead on the news.
INEC issues policy guidelines, adopts other health protocols for conduct of elections amid COVID-19. Details of this and more shortly.
The coronavirus, also known as COVID-19, is spreading at an alarming rate all over the globe, including Nigeria. With the number of infected persons in Nigeria increasing daily, prevention is better than cure. Coronavirus has no cure. The virus spreads from one person, who affects two persons, and by the time the affected person is isolated, the two persons have affected four, and it keeps spreading. You must take preventive measures to save yourself and that of the people around you. Always wash your hands with soap and water. Put distance between yourself and others. Whenever you cough or sneeze, cover your mouth. Clean and disinfect surfaces. Stay at home if you're sick and contact the proper authorities. Together, we can cut down the spread of the coronavirus. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest TV network.
Many thanks for staying with us in what could be described as putting aside political differences for the progress of Plateau State. Members of the National Assembly caucus from the state were at the Government House, Rayfield in Jos, to present their donation to Governor Simon Lalong towards the fight against COVID-19. The delegation, which was led by the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Ahmed Idris Wasi, donated an undisclosed amount of money to the Plateau State COVID-19 Trust Fund so as to assist government deal with the pandemic. The Deputy Speaker said the donation was in appreciation of the measures taken by the state government so far in dealing with the pandemic through several measures.
I've been watching clearly. The only digital government, if I would say, that be able to man our security force using ICT. I think this will have to thank you this much. Congratulate you for all the good effort. We have been around in terms of supporting the government and individual capacity from our constituency level to state level. But we thought it's not going to be okay if we don't come as a family first to appreciate you, to tell you that we're working together with you in tandem, and to ensure that whatever we want to do, we did a little that what has been done also. We support you to ensure that practice is safe and our people are safe.
Governor Lalong, who expressed appreciation for the gesture of the National Assembly Plateau State Caucus, said the donation again shows their patriotism and unity towards the progress of Plateau State.
People are law-abiding, and in this case, I must use the opportunity before you to thank the entire people of Plateau State for their cooperation. Otherwise, we would not have reached where we are today. And today, the leaders are back with us. And want to, on behalf of the good people of Plateau State, to thank you and to also express our gratitude for your performances at the National Assembly. We also follow, just as you follow us here, we are following you there.
Lalong also used the opportunity to speak on the profiling and transfer of Almajiri children to their states of origin, where he explained that the decision was taken by the entire northern governors in order to protect the children who were abandoned and became at risk of contacting COVID-19 and even spreading it.
And then they send them packing, moving on the streets. I witnessed it myself. I witnessed it myself. I was somewhere when I saw a group of young people, 7, 6 years, moving with leather bags and picking plastic bags, gathered around me as a governor. I said, whose kids are these? They said they are Almajiris. What are they doing? They said they are looking for plastics to go and sell so that they can feed. They don't even know where to sleep. Now, this was the kind of thing. And if somebody is moving like this, sleeping anywhere, is vulnerable to COVID-19. If he gets it, he doesn't even have opportunity to reach out to those who will pick him and address the situation. So we convened a meeting of Northern Governors Forum. And at that Northern Governors Forum, I think the first few states that came complaining heavily on this were Kano, Kaduna, Nasarawa, and even Gombe.
The governor and company of National Assembly members later took possession of an ambulance, 2 ventilators, 10,000 surgical masks and other accessories donated to the state by NNPC IPPG initiative.
Now let's take you to Enugu State, where the governors of the Southeast Zone have agreed to engage Nigerian Center for Disease Control on the need to scale up testing of coronavirus in the zone, as the forum directs all Igbos living outside the Southeast to obey all extant COVID-19 laws, especially the Presidential Directive on Interstate Movement. This was in a communique issued by the forum after its meeting in Enugu, and Susan Eze now reports.
In a 7-point communique presented by the chairman of the Southeast Governors Forum and governor of Ebonyi State, Dave Umahi, the governors directed the people of the Southeast Zone to comply with the ban on interstate travels, the hygiene protocols, and directives of their home governors and those of where they live, as the forum engages the National Center for Disease Control on the need to scale up COVID-19 testing in the Southeast. On security matters, the governors disagreed with the community policing composition formula contained in a recent communication to them from the Inspector General of Police.
The recent communication from the Inspector General of Police to our governors of Southeast on community policing composition is not in keeping with the agreement we reached with him during his last visit to the Southeast. In the circumstance, we cannot begin implementation of it until the program reflects our earlier agreement with the IGP. The Southeast governors and their leaders request the IGP to please revert to our initial agreement reached on community policing.
The forum, however, commended President Muhammadu Buhari on the progress of work at the Second Niger Bridge and the Akanibiam International Airport, Enugu. In Enugu, Susan Eze, NTA News.
And still in Southeast, at this time in Ebonyi, Governor David Umahi is appealing to the Nigeria Center for Disease Control for the supply of more testing kits to fast-track the testing of people in isolation centers.
And that's right. He made the appeal while confirming the 11 new cases of COVID-19 in the state. Kingsley Okoro tells you more about that.
11 new cases are returnees from other states. The development Governor David Umahi describes as unhealthy, emphasizing that the major challenge is keeping people in isolation center for more than 14 days for lack of testing kits.
Where there are no test kits, what do? Some of them have stayed 21 days. So I think there should be enough testing kits in all the labs. So on the whole, we have 33 cases with 6 discharged.
The governor, who expressed worry over the porous nature of borders, came up with strategies to tackle the problem.
Yes, we are not happy with the porous nature of our borders. Anybody holding political or elected position in Ebonyi State will be required to be part of the monitoring team day and night. Anybody who fails to comply will leave the position.
While commending the council chairman for their commitment in the fight, Governor Umahi urged the Ebonyi people to continue to abide by all the safety measures to avoid contracting or spreading the virus. In Abakaliki, Kingsley Okoro, NTA News.
And in the Northeast, Taraba State has continued training to enhance capacity of health workers who are on the front line in the fight against COVID-19.
This time, the Center for Initiative and Development, in collaboration with Nigeria Center for Disease Control, took the capacity building to the doorsteps of the Federal Medical Center, Jalingo. Joseph Otson completes that report.
Thanks to us, because we are the healthcare providers
and it's a timely training for us to step it outside to see how we can manage this COVID-19 in our community.
And help to minimize the transmission from human to human, and as well help the affected persons to know what is important to do at the time of maybe quarantine.
Our passion is to ensure that our frontline healthcare workers are first of all protected through the knowledge they have on personal protective equipment and infection prevention control, and they have the necessary skills and competencies, knowledge on how to manage these patients when they come through the doors and the gates of our hospitals.
This 5 weeks workshop is to build capacity of health workers saddled with the responsibility of managing COVID-19 patients without jeopardizing personal health. The training, according to the organizers, is going on in 7 states, including Adamawa, Bauchi, Benue, Gombe, Nasarawa, Yobe, and Taraba State. Over 3,000 persons are expected to benefit from the training. In Jalingo, Joseph Sound Otsen, NTA News.
And in the meantime, the Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, has distributed palliatives to 1,000 households in Alo, Idemili South local government area of Anambra State as part of efforts to cushion the economic effects occasioned by the coronavirus pandemic. Ekene Ndulwe has details.
For 52-year-old Florence, who is a caterer, and 60-year-old Benjamin, who is an interstate driver, business has not been good, and the palliative will bring immediate succor to their various families.
Like me, I'm cooking, I'm doing cooking, so I'm not doing since that time, but we stay for house doing nothing.
That I will take it to feed my family and take it to procure myself for the health.
Some part of it for food, and some part I will use it to settle the debt I owe.
A total of 1,000 households in Alo got 5,000 naira each with bags of rice and noodles from Dr. Chris Ngige Foundation. The minister, who is also the founder of the foundation, encouraged the people to abide by the WHO protocols to remain safe from the COVID-19 disease.
That's why we are saying everybody to observe the protocol. You give yourself distance in such function like this.
The foundation also donated a sum of 5 million naira to the church community in Alo for onward distribution to the indigent members of the community, with a promise to also reach out to other communities in Anambra State. From Alo, Ekene Ndulwe, NTA News.
Nigerians see the seamless access to petroleum products in spite of the lockdown to curb the dreaded COVID-19 spread as they point out to a strong capacity for the nation's economic revival post-pandemic.
And Abdullahi Sulaiman Iyaji was on the streets of Abuja, where motorists commended government for ensuring fuel supply is unhindered.
A visit to major filling stations in the Federal Capital Territory reveals an ease to get petrol by motorists.
It's very easy. Fuel anywhere, you get it very easy without queue. Okay. So we thank the government and the way things are getting easier.
Oh my God, I love Nigeria so much. In fact, I can't even get out of this country. You know why? Because the fuel here is perfect, it's sharp.
Even with the lockdown, we were lucky enough that the filling stations continued working. So fuel has not really been a problem for us.
This development, an oil dealer attributes to effective administrative measures, which he commends government for.
For a very long time, since the inception of this government, we've not been having all that excruciating scarcity that make people to buy in panic way and begin to keep.
The Department of Petroleum Resources further assures that the tempo will be sustained in spite of the lockdown.
I want to urge the public not to do any panic buying. Whether it's diesel, whether it's PMS, they should not do any panic buying. We have the product available on ground. We go around to make sure that the product are available and the sales is ongoing smoothly without any hints.
Many filling stations in the nation's capital were seen dispensing at the approved pump price. Abdullahi Suleiman Yaji, NTA News.
And now to electoral matters. All the guidelines issued by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 adopted by INEC for the conduct of elections during this period, and majority of the activities are to be carried out through online.
This was contained in a 10-point policy document for the conduct of Edo and Ondo governorship elections. Mayor Ogidi reports.
It is countdown to the Edo and Ondo governorship elections, and the entire political spectrum has to adjust to the realities of the moment. 10-point policy document is out from the INEC headquarters, adopting all the guidelines issued by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 and NCDC for the control of coronavirus.
In terms of political parties, the nomination processes will be done online. In terms of accreditation of the media, it will be done online. In terms of the elections itself, we are going to make sure that all our election officials, we provide them with protective equipment. But it is mandatory for any voter coming to vote in any election to wear face mask. With no face masks, no voting.
How campaigns and party primaries will be conducted without large gatherings is a national question. But in the wisdom of INEC, just as football is played in some countries without spectators, campaigns without gathering is preferable.
What we expect from them is to make sure that in organizing their campaigns and organizing their party primaries, they conform to the dictates of physical and social distancing. Political parties will still do campaigns the traditional way, but it will not be as robust as we had it previously. They are going to utilize more of the radio, utilize more of the television, utilize the newspapers, and also utilize the social media.
For the 9 outstanding by-elections, no date yet. Mayor Ogidi, NTA News.
You are still watching the news at 10 on NTA News 24, reaching you live from Abuja. We take our second break now.
More reports ahead. Don't go away. Please stay with us.
For now, the best and most efficient way to avoid getting infected is through regular hygienic and sanitary practices, as well as social distancing. As individuals, we remain the greatest weapon to fight this pandemic. By washing our hands regularly with clean water and soap, disinfecting frequently used surfaces and areas, coughing into a tissue or elbow, and strictly adhering to infection prevention control measures in health facilities, we can contain this virus.
And on business news, federal government of Nigeria said to be losing billions of naira from informal exports in the country. Chimobi Walter Naji has detail of this.
With Nigeria's ranking as one of the top intra-African exporting countries, some export analysts believe the country is losing billions of naira in informal export, as many of its exports do not go through official channels. The experts charge the conformity and exporting authorities to put modalities in place to ensure that all export activities out of Nigeria are properly accounted for to help the country's revenue and develop the exporting subsector.
And in terms of trade balance intra-Africa, Nigeria is making more than 3.86 billion in terms of trade balance. When we say, oh, our manufacturing is not competitive, no. Apart from Algeria, South Africa, and Egypt, Nigeria is the fourth in terms of manufacturing value added in the last, for more than 10 years. If you look at services exports, Nigeria is the first exporter of services. Although if you look at the net balance, we might be negative.
Meanwhile, due to the Salah break, the capital market activities remain closed. However, with the week ended 22nd of May 2020, equities market closed bullish as the NSE All-Share Index appreciated by 1.80% to close at 25,204.75 basis points as against 1.25% appreciation recorded previously. Its year-to-date returns currently stands at minus 6.10%. With business news, I'm Chimobi Walter Naji.
And reactions have continued to trail the recent signing of the Executive Order 10 by President Muhammadu Buhari, which granted financial autonomy to states' legislature and the judiciary.
Dotun Ogunyemi reports that political and social analysts view the development as key to strengthening the nation's democracy.
In a swift reaction to the signing of the order, the Conference of Speakers of State Legislature in Nigeria described the approval by President Muhammadu Buhari as the best Salah gift, according to a statement by the Chairman, Conference of Speakers, and Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Mudashiru Obasa. Honorable Jude Idimogu is a member of the Lagos Assembly. He, like his other colleagues, are happy with the move.
Actually, when we talk about separation of power, we should do it to the letter, in the sense that it's not just separation of power, mere talking about it. Financially, if you want it to be effective, financial autonomy is necessary.
Political analysts are also of the opinion that the move will enable each arm of government to be independent and better accountable.
People have clamored for this for so long, but the reality is that we've had about 21 years of unbroken democracy, and this has not been done off and now. The plan has persisted for so long. And so, I mean, it's a wonderful thing that the president has realized that this ought to be done.
I also pray that the willpower to sustain this particular executive order, that God should be sustained, so that we will have more vibrant governance in the state, because they are more near to the people.
According to the order, all states of the Federation shall include the allocations of the two arms of government in the appropriation laws. Failure to release such allocations, however, authorizes the deduction from source.
And now to Birnin Kebbi, where the Kebbi state government has received 61 Almajiri deported to the state by the Kano state government.
Governor Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, who received the children at the internally displaced persons camp in Kalgo local government area of the state, assured his commitment to their education. Usman Abdullahi Shehu completes the report.
The repatriated Almajiri, who come from 6 local government areas of Kebbi State, comprising of 18 from Dundee local government, 13 Argungu, 9 from Jega, 4 from Kalgo, 3 from Bagudu, and 1 from Suru local government areas. Governor Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, who handed over the returnees to their respective local government chairmen to unite them with their parents, said the decision to return the Almajiri to their state of origin was unanimously adopted by the 19 northern states governors as an effort to fight COVID-19 and address the lingering Almajiri challenge in the region. The governor announced that Kebbi State government will embark on Almajiri census shortly after Salah to repatriate non-indigens back to their home states.
We don't want children going around begging for food, because they owe it to society to look out for them. As much as we have challenges they are our future. So we'll pay attention and ensure that they get the best of care.
He commended Kano State Governor for subjecting the returnees to take COVID-19 test before sending them back home. The Chairman State COVID-19 Task Force, Jafar Muhammad, who affirmed that all the 61 Almajiri returnees were certified negative of COVID-19, said others with positive case were left behind in Kano State at isolation centers receiving treatment. In Birnin Kebbi, Usman Abdullahi Shehu, NTA News.
And as part of the activities marking this year's Eid al-Fitr festival, the Nigeria Air Force has organized 2020 Chief of Air Staff launch for the officers and men of the force in Katsina. Abdul Malik Hassan has more.
For missions is aimed at expressing gratitude to individual and collective sacrifices to foster spirit of comradeship, as well boost the morale of the soldiers in protecting the territorial integrity of the country against any form of external aggression. Addressing the troops, the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, represented by Air Officer Commanding Special Operations Command, Air Vice Marshal Charles Owo, commended the troops for marking this year's Eid al-Fitr celebration.
Notwithstanding, we should bear in mind that a lot is at stake in this war against banditry and kidnapping. We must therefore not allow ourselves to be taken unawares, and hence I enjoin all personnel to remain disciplined and not to relent in the effort towards ensuring safety and security of our citizens.
He said the force is committed to addressing the lingering security challenges in the state, which he said necessitated the deployment of the Air Force Special Forces to the frontline local government areas of Katsina State. Air Vice Marshal Charles Owo further commended the effort of the air officers for their commitment towards ensuring the security in the country, especially the Northwest. He urged them to comply with the health professionals' directive to guard themselves against the COVID-19 pandemic. In Katsina, Abdul Malik Hassan, NTA News.
And the Nigerian military says the air component of Operation Hadarin Daji has neutralized close to 200 bandits in multiple airstrikes conducted at Ibrahim Maibai's camp in Jibia local government area of Katsina State and Kurmin Kura in Zulmi local government area of Zamfara State. In a statement signed by Coordinator Directorate of Defense Media Operations, Major General John Enenche, the airstrikes were executed on 22nd and 23rd May 2020. After a series of intelligence missions led to the confirmation that the two locations were being used as hideouts for some notorious bandit leaders, whilst also serving as collection points for rustled cattle. The Chief of the Air Staff has directed that additional assets be deployed to cover Kaduna, Niger, Nasarawa and Kogi states to frustrate any attempt of the bandits to relocate to adjoining states.
And in the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari has congratulated the governor of Kwara State, Abdulrahman Abdulrazak, and his father, Alhaji Abdulrazak, SAN, on the occasion of the governor's mother's 90th birthday. The mother of the governor and wife of the first lawyer in northern Nigeria, Alhaja Raliat Amokwe Abdulrazak, a philanthropist and founder of the Raliat Foundation, clocked 90. President Buhari commends the celebrant for bringing happiness and joy to so many people within and around her community. He prayed to Almighty Allah to grant her many years of service to the family and her community and also to the nation. This news at 10 on NTA News 24 is reaching you live from Abuja. Here's a recap of some of our major stories.
No development without peace, President Buhari reiterates as Nigeria marks Africa Day.
Nigeria's Center for Disease Control announces 229 new cases, bringing the number of confirmed coronavirus cases in the country to 8,068.
INEC issues 10-point policy guidelines, adopts other health protocols for the conduct of elections amid COVID-19.
And day 2 of Eid al-Fitr festival, public holidays, correspondent examines the dramatic change in lifestyle of a family as coronavirus ravages.
This is NTA News 24.
Welcome back. Now, lockdown or not, at home or in school, the Nigerian children must be celebrated and empowered to attain their full potential of becoming responsible citizens. This is the submission of the Minister of Women Affairs while unveiling a series of events to 2020 Children's Day in a lockdown. Momso Damien will tell you more about this.
The 27th of May is just by the corner, and with the lockdown, the children may be losing hope on ever marking their special day.
The effect of coronavirus, this effect is Children's Day.
But not so for the Ministry of Women Affairs. The event must be marked even with the lockdown. So, the convergence of key players here is to unveil the theme and how children can participate online right from their homes.
Of this year's Children's Day is promoting the girl-child education for sustainable development. The team is expected to intensify sensitization and awareness creation for increased enrollment, retention, and completion rate of girls in schools at all levels. It's a day that children around the world look forward to express their feelings and to celebrate childhood. However, in whatever situation we find ourselves, we must do our best to give the child its rightful place.
To support the event and assist Nigerian women, a support group championing the fight against breast and cervical cancer donated personal protective equipment to the ministry. Momso Damien Dati, NTA News.
And for sports, let's join our sports text.
Ighalo looks set to leave Manchester United at the end of his loan spell this week, with parent club Shanghai Shenhua keen to have the striker back. Ighalo has been a hit at Old Trafford since signing a loan deal on the final day of the January transfer window, scoring 4 times for his boyhood club. But his loan spell looks set to end after 8 appearances, with his initial deal penned until May 31st. United's season will now extend well beyond that as a result of the coronavirus pandemic that has caused a suspension to the campaign, with United not playing since their 5-0 demolition of LSK Linz on March 12th. United still have 9 Premier League games to play and remain in the Europa League and the FA Cup. They are keen to keep Ighalo until the end of the season and have held discussions with Shanghai Shenhua about extending the loan deal. Meanwhile, the Women's Super League and Women's Championship seasons have been ended, with the outcome of the WSL title and promotion and relegation issues still to be decided. The joint WSL and Women's Championship Board has sent various recommendations to the Football Association Board to determine the most appropriate sporting outcome for the season. An FA statement said the decision came after overwhelming feedback from clubs and was made in the best interest of the women's game. It means all divisions of women's football in England have now been cancelled for the 2019-2020 campaign.
The World Health Organization has suspended the testing of hydroxychloroquine as a possible COVID-19 treatment. A study suggested the drug could cause heart problems in patients and increase the risk of death. U.S. President Donald Trump has repeatedly promoted the drug and even said he was taking it. As Americans marked Memorial Day, Johns Hopkins University says the virus death toll has reached 98,218. While some people stayed in their homes, many others emerged and headed for the beaches. Spain has revised its death toll downwards by nearly 2,000 people after checking data from the regions and discovering some deaths have been recorded twice, while others had not been as a result of coronavirus. Australia's Prime Minister is expected to set out a plan to revive the economy in the wake of the virus. Now in Africa, Burundi's Electoral Commission has announced the country's ruling party candidate as the winner of a presidential election held last week with 68.72% of the votes. Evariste Ndayishimiye, a retired general, will take over from President Pierre Nkurunziza after he beat the main opposition candidate, Agatha Ruwasa, and 5 others, avoiding a runoff by securing more than 50% of the votes. The 52-year-old general is expected to succeed President Pierre Nkurunziza, who has been in power since 2005 but had decided not to stand for a 4th term.
And on a sad note, President Muhammadu Buhari has commiserated with the media industry, particularly Nigeria Union of Journalists and the Nigeria Guild of Editors, over the passing of the Saturday editor of New Telegraph, Wahid Bakare. The president sends condolences to family of the deceased and management of New Telegraph newspapers, describing the editor's death as a loss to the media and the nation, that he served passionately with his talent. The president prays that God receives the soul of the departed and comfort all that mourn him.
And this is where we will wrap up the news at 10 on the NTA News 24. We thank you so much